Hello my fellow survivors and zombie enthusiasts, I am your host Russell Crooms and welcome to the Animated Apparel Company YouTube channel. In today's video, we will be reviewing Resident Evil 3 The Remake. The Resident Evil 3 Remake is a reminder of a more classic video game storytelling style. This game substitutes its predecessor's dependence on survival scares for a more action-oriented experience, sometimes to the detriment of gameplay. Now, one of the things I love about this game is how polished it is. Resident Evil is a faithful reimagining of Capcom's third entry in the franchise. The horror aspect of the game is boosted even further with Capcom's impressive game engine. Now, character models look great, and the controls, even though they did take some time to get used to, feel very solid overall. Each level of the game has a similar structure, but the detail in each level really helps to immerse you in the world that is Raccoon City. Now, the story revolves around our lead protagonist Jill Valentine and her heroic efforts to escape Raccoon City following a vicious viral outbreak. Interestingly, Jill's backstory relates to the original Resident Evil. As an ex-member of STARS, Jill formed part of her highly skilled division belonging to Raccoon City's police task force. An elite team almost wiped off the map entirely after the infamous monster invasion of the Monster Incident. In other words, Resident Evil 1. So it's safe to say Jill has seen her fair share of horror, but now she's come face to face with an even darker reality, her most dangerous enemy yet, the Umbrella Corporation's lab-born virus and the byproduct of its lethal birth, the terrifying and relentless monster known as Nemesis. All in all, the core story still holds up well, especially true given the fact it's over 20 years old. That's a really long time. Well, it feels that way. Part of that sense of longevity is down to its iconic lead character and her strong supporting cast, but also the horrific nature of Nemesis. In truth, the Resident Evil series was never going to win any awards for original character scripts. There are still tons of cultural cliches, cheesy lines of dialogue, and enough one-liners to give Arnold Schwarzenegger a run for his money. Even so, this formula fits the mold beautifully. With the action scaled up to the optimum output, the story does a superb job of pacing out the relentless onslaught of zombie-infested carnage, with cleverly crafted cutscenes that mark the end of each section. Next up, we tackle the main villain Nemesis. So how does this game handle one of the most iconic video game bosses of all time? Well, on the visual front, Nemesis looks every bit as menacing as he did in the original. And by comparison, most of the gameplay sections which feature the lab-born brute are equally scary. Some may even take your breath away, so to speak. In Resident Evil 3 The Remake, Nemesis plays a similar role to Mr. X, so a quick recap for those that aren't aware. At specific points in the previous remake, Mr. X would appear out of nowhere, thus rapidly honing in on your position in the Raccoon City police station. Naturally, this gave birth to a series of intense escape scenes, issuing moments of sheer tension in the process as you desperately attempt to shake off the oncoming invader. In Resident Evil 3, the presence of Nemesis follows in a similar path. However, this time the stakes couldn't be higher. Unlike Mr. X, Nemesis is much more mobile, at times will even sprint towards you at terrifying speeds. On top of that, Nemesis has a superior intellect and comes armed with the ability to use weapons against you. Moreover, the AI is on point, so much so, Nemesis' actions appear to center around the player's choices and movements alone. As if he's analyzing your every move, he's not just blindly stampeding towards you with no sense of his surroundings. Instead, he'll alter his strategy accordingly, in line with Jill's missteps. As you might imagine, this cooks up some thrilling escape scenarios. Move too far away or out of his field of vision, and the Nemesis will reach out and grab you, pulling you ever closer to him. On the other hand, run away in one direction, and there is a chance that Nemesis will leap ahead of you and block your exit. Unlike the previous two Resident Evil games, Resident Evil 3 marked a significant turning point for Capcom, as it tailored its brand toward a more action-oriented experience. Now, the prime example being Resident Evil 4. Now, that was a game marvelous by all accounts, but a far cry from the formula that fans of the franchise have grown to love. That's not to say there aren't still traces of that old magic still lingering around. Yes, in Resident Evil 3 The Remake, you will be much more overpowered than you were in previous games. And so, Maintaining your ammo and your items is really not much of a concern in this game, partially due to the sheer mass of enemies that Jill must attack or avoid. By that I mean there is no escaping the vast volume of zombie hordes at every turn, and that sense of helplessness never ceases for a second. So expect much less of a moody atmospheric experience like that of Resident Evil 1 and 2. Acting in its place is a more no-nonsense, fast and furious affair, one with the chance of sudden death and vast hordes of zombies commonplace. All in all, the Resident Evil 3 Remake shares a level of intensity unseen in previous games. At times, that sadly subtracts some of the slow-burning moments of suspense so popular with the Resident Evil 2 Remake. On the other hand, it leads us to some of the most intense and exhilarating action sequences of the current generation, so it's a bittersweet affair. In terms of polish and presentation, it's every bit as impressive as its remade predecessor. I'm speaking both in terms of gameplay, the story, and vastly reworked cinematics. Even so, the framework won't please all, but those with a stern interest in the celebrated classic will want to revisit Raccoon City one last time. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching our review. If you liked this video, please give it a like and let us know in the comment section what are the games you'd like for us to review. We've also put a link in the description if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon or our online store. Alrighty guys, thank you again, and I'm out.